Morning, everybody. This is the Wisconsin Caregiver Support Community Statewide webinar. It's January 24th, 2023, so our first meeting of the new year. As I shared, it's a pretty busy agenda, all of it certainly worthwhile, and we'll cruise through it. Quick overview for those of you who would like to see. The agenda is that we'll have an advocacy update from Janet Zander with GWAR. Lynn and I plowed through the 2021 and 2022 pre and post eval and customer surveys. So we'll go through the data and share some shout outs of some really awesome feedback that we've heard directly from the family caregivers that I feel it's important for you to all hear. And then we've devoted the last half hour or 35 minutes to our discussion around caregiver coalitions. We have 3 people who graciously volunteered to share a bit about their evolution of caregiver coalitions over the year, or how they too are starting them, kind of re-kicking them off, if you will, and re-energizing participation and partnership within their caregiver coalition. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing, turn it over to Janet, and we'll get started. Janet, did you want me to share the screen so that we can scroll through the written update? Are people able to hear me? Okay, okay, very good, wonderful. Janet, did you want to give a couple minutes or a few minutes? We have 5 minutes for you to go through the advocacy updates related to family caregiver, or did you just want me to link that in the notes? We can't hear you.
How about now?
There we go. Yes,
Great.
thank you.
Great. Okay, let me just take 2 minutes, since that's all that I have left to stay within your time frame. Just wanted to say that caregiver issues, older adult issues, people with disabilities, family members, community members, individuals living with dementia, these are all the concerns that folks face are all nonpartisan. And so I think it's incredibly important, with the start of a new state legislative session, a budget process, and a new Congress, that we get to know who represents us. Follow their newsletters, send them a welcome email, get to know them well enough so that as you feel the need to share with your legislator things that aren't working very well for you, the people you serve, the family caregivers in your network, that you have built some sort of relationship. So in the written report I gave Bryn, I linked you all to how to find out who represents you currently in both the state and federal Senate, as well as the House and the State Assembly, and some information about how to connect with them, their maps, and why you might want to do that. I also shared the 8 issue briefs that have currently been posted by the Wisconsin Aging Advocacy Network on a wide variety of topics that I'm sure are impacting your programs and services, as well as the people that you're serving, so that you have some talking points as you begin to build those relationships with your policymakers. The last thing I want to point out is that there are 3 upcoming opportunities at the state capitol for you to lift your voice in combination with others. So that energy we get, that power we get from working with others. So I have listed the dates for the Alzheimer's Association's Wisconsin Advocacy Day on March 7th, Disability Advocacy Day, and this is disability for people of all ages, on Thursday, March 23rd, and Aging Advocacy Day on March 9th. And so you'll see links where the registrations already are in existence, or links for more information And I hope that we can see some of you at some of these upcoming aging advocacy days. It's a great way to learn about the process and feel more comfortable as you're doing advocacy along with your peers. Thank you.
Janet always has so much information that is incredibly helpful. So I feel terrible having to rush through that. So I will make sure that that's not only linked, but please pull any of those issue briefs in particular. I found them myself to be really helpful sharing out. They're very user friendly. They're kind of at a glance so that you can feel that you're knowledgeable about the issue, and they're easy to share and pass on to if there's a topic that's of interest to you. So with that, cruising right through the agenda, we will then go on to Lynn and I sharing a bit about the 2021 and 2022 pre and post evals. So I'll just give a few bullet pointed summary of both of the years, a little bit of a side-by-side comparison, give us the overall themes that we can pull from them. And then we'll talk a little bit, and I'll hand it over to Lynn about DHS reporting and really who should be doing it and why. So from 2022, the customer satisfaction surveys were 248 respondents. That was 34 fewer surveys than in the previous year of 2021. So we would like to see those surveys continue to be sent out and shared, whether electronically or paper copy, so that we can get really good feedback. It's genuine feedback. It's anonymous feedback. Even if it's bad, we want to know that. Albeit though, with all the wonderful information, there was not a lot of negative information at all shared. There were 32 counties that recorded surveys in 2022. That's 6 fewer counties than in 2021. So again, just looking to make sure those surveys are getting to the family caregivers that you all help and work with and support. Most of their contact was initially made via phone. 69% of them said that that was their first introduction to the aging unit or to the ADRCs in their county. And most clients at 68% reported having about a 1 day to 1 week between the initial request for help and then eventually meeting with staff. So this was a little bit longer of I'm sorry, rather increased in the number of days that folks had to wait. So in the previous year of 2021, it was about 58% reporting that they had to wait that full day to a week. Some were used to a quicker turnaround. However, with that being said, and again, we can speculate, I'm sure we all have some idea of how and why that turnaround time might have increased slightly from year to year. It might be due to higher demand. It may be due to staff retirement, turnover, any number of reasons. With all that being said, though, 81% are still saying that they feel that that's a short or a very short response time. So the customer service experience is that of a positive one. A couple other highlights are that 92% of people reported that the staff person understood their situation very well. And this is an increase in percentage from those reported in the prior year of 2021 at 88.4%. So there was a pretty significant jump in people really feeling heard when they went to their caregiver program staff. The other big jump that we noticed was how well you felt information, so the question is, how well or poorly did the information you received meet your needs? So people feeling ultimately that they got what they need. 87.8% of people are indicating that the information met their needs very well. And that too was a pretty big jump, over 5% from the previous year of 2021. So even though we've had a few less surveys, there has only been an increase in some of the positive customer experience that they've received. And in both years, roughly right around 97% All of the survey respondents had indicated that they would absolutely be recommending that a friend or family member with similar needs contact the county aging unit or EDRC or tribe. So there's certainly a lot of value in what folks are experiencing and pulling from their interactions with you. The overall for comparison from the 2 years are that customer satisfaction remains high overall. And despite slightly longer wait time for clients in 2022, they reported having a good experience and good turnaround time. And the four standouts were that staff listened, staff understood, that their privacy was being respected, and that the staff were meeting their needs. So it's nice to know that when we ask you to do those pre and post evals, those don't just go into oblivion. Those are data sources that we do use, and they help us track and hopefully track in a positive trajectory the good work that you guys are doing. I'll include those details in the notes, which will also be posted in the link in the chat with the archived recordings. And with that, I'll turn it over to Lynn. It looks like the next topic is DHS reporting, who's doing it and who should be.
Great, thank you, and good morning, everyone. And I gotta say, thank you to all for submitting that data. I know it's a lot of extra work with what you've been dealing with in the last couple years, but it really is valuable data to us, and I hope you enjoyed seeing the responses. It sounded, from what I was CC'd on, the responses when Bryn sent those out individually to you at the end of last week so that you could see what people are saying, because as she said, they really are nearly 100% positive. If we do ever see anything negative, it's usually like something wasn't available and that's not your fault. But the experience at the ADRC and aging units and tribal aging units is just really positive. And I think that's something you should all be very happy about. Um, the data we're collecting, these pre and post program evaluations and the customer satisfaction surveys, those are all available to you. And if you don't, I mean, I noticed we said there were some counties that we didn't have any responses from. And in some cases, you may be handing those out and people just aren't returning them with the customer satisfaction surveys. Some of that is beyond your control. But if you haven't been sending those out, there is a link you can give people where they put it right into the system. And there's also a paper copy with a self-addressed stamped envelope you can give them to send back. The link is always better because it's quicker, it's faster, it goes right in. But if you do need that paper copy, that's available too. And if you don't know where that is, there's a link to it in DHS RedCap, was where you put this information. So you can always go there and get that too, or contact me, and I can make sure that you get those and some envelopes if you need those. And the caregiver needs assessment data too. We didn't go over that today, but in the future, if you would like that information, we certainly can let you know what we've been gathering from that and what the top things people are asking for when we do the needs assessments, what sorts of services are most wanted and valued and used by our members. So I'd be happy to provide that at an upcoming meeting too. So we'll put that on for maybe next month if we have got time, or we'll see where we can fit that in. But I'm interested to hear from you too, if you've been having any interest, interested to hear if you are having any issues with sending these out, getting them back, or if you have questions just about generally how to, conduct these or what's expected. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have as well. So if you have any questions, can you either speak up now or send us an email and we'll get you an answer. But gotta say, just to me, it's very heartwarming to see these wonderful comments that people say, that's it was a lifesaver. It was, changed my whole situation. Those sorts of things what we do matters. It really does matter. And that's something that I think we all need to remember, that you really are changing. Even if you're not changing the world, you are changing someone's world. And that is really something to be proud of. So thank you very much. You're muted, Bryn.
Thank you. Marina, you had a great question. You asked about the data that Lynn had chatted about. So what happened last week is we were pulling the survey comments are that if there was anybody specifically mentioned or if we could somehow narrow it down, which took a bit of time, we sent them that positive feedback so that they could hear it. So you were not missing any data or any email. And that's actually a really good segue. We do have a packed agenda today, but I feel strongly that it's important we share a lot of the good work and share those highlights and those shout outs, if you will. So we did take out some of the comments that we couldn't quite match up or if there was any duplication, but I am going to read some of those comments so that we can all have some warm fuzzies on also has a good long list of wonderful family caregiver comments. So to get started, one of the comments read, Kenosha's Aging and Disability Office has been a tremendous help to me during this difficult time of dealing with my mother's dementia. Another reads, I have had numerous conversations with at least 3 different staff people at the Ashland County Aging Unit, and they have always exhibited good manners, great listening, and much patience. My experience with the Caregiver Support Program has been extremely positive and helpful. My contact with Olivia Cherry in Marinette County has been sincere, caring, and wonderful to me. No complaints at all. Thank you for all your help. Marty and Martha from Waushara County Department of Aging were very knowledgeable and helpful. Nicole in Winnebago County received a comment, was very helpful and easy to talk with, giving us options to consider. Marina in Sauk was very respectful when discussing my concerns with me. She explained the program and was very helpful. Miss Taylor Shear, and I did not put Miss, that was part of what was written in the comment. Miss Taylor Shear was very helpful and caring. She still contacts me to see how I'm doing. Kristen in Winnebago was very thorough. If I was still in business, I would hire her away from the county. Outagamie County. I've been working with Amy, who's excellent and very caring professional. She had met all of our needs. She was compassionate. We are very fortunate to have her help us through these tough times. Thank you. Excellent program. Catherine in Dodge received a comment that read, she was very informative and my daughter when we ask. Douglas County. This was all new to our family with our aging father. Chelsea helped us every step of the way. She is an asset to the ADRC and a very caring person. I can't thank her enough. Catherine in Dodge and her team were the most caring and understanding people I have ever met. All of them went above and beyond my expectations. Their kindness and thoughtfulness were of great support to my family and me. Thank you. Mary Schroeder and Becca Way in Walworth County have been extremely helpful and responsive to our needs. You're lucky to have them in your employ. My experience with both Terry and Olivia at Brown County ADRC was phenomenal. They were caring and knowledgeable and provided numerous ideas and tools to help me in supporting my parents. Thank you. Winnebago County, I met with Cindy Pluker, who put me in contact with Karen and Jolyn. Both women were professional and kind to me. I am now receiving help at home for my husband, much needed relief. In St. Croix County, Tara and Kim's respondent wrote, we were given much information and options to help with our 90-year-old mother. So grateful for everything with our age and illness. We are overjoyed with the assistance to help lighten our burden. Lori Anderson is great and provided the help we needed. She kept in touch and followed up with the program from Fond du Lac Senior Services. Brian and Terry from Brown County ADRC exceeded our expectations and have helped relieve some of the financial stress of caring for family members. In Vernon County, a customer wrote, kind and considerate conversation with very knowledgeable social workers. Trisha is prompt with the information needed for being the caregiver of my 95-year-old mom. Milwaukee, Candace LaGrosse has met with me over the phone to help me with caregiver resources for my husband. She is very responsive, knowledgeable, well organized, and friendly. I feel very blessed to be able to work with Candace for our caregiver and daily living needs. Thank you. This was a best guess. I'm pretty sure this was for Waushara County. A customer writes very friendly, helpful, pleasant, caring, and very easy to talk with over the phone. Marty and Mary for transportation are terrific. Tina and Rock had a customer write, she was so great to work with, caring, helpful, and explained everything for us. Tina Monkgerber was just wonderful. She listened and tried to understand my needs and provided me with answers to my questions and directed me in the right direction. I feel confident I could call her with any questions I might have and not feel like I was bothering her. Again, for Tina, was punctual, kind, sensitive, and knowledgeable. It was a pleasure to meet with her and discuss the program. Kristen in Winnebago was very good with my parents and explained everything very well. Tina in Rock County was very well informed of my needs and went well above and beyond in helping me. We need more people like her. In Rock County, a comment read, "This was a relief for me learning about this grant and the help it will provide my mom as she goes through her last few months. Tina answered all my questions, and I felt she truly wants to help me and help my mom. Thank you." In Rock County, I met with Tina Monkgerber. I would highly recommend her to my friends and family. My caregiver support specialist was caring and wonderful. They helped me through a trying 2 years. I wish her the best. Everyone at Racine County ADRC was very knowledgeable, helpful, and awesome. Winnebago County, Corinna Jolin met with us and was so patient with us. She helped us get us set up with resources we desperately needed. In Dodge County, Catherine Nickelbein is outstanding to work with. Tina Monk was very compassionate, professional, knowledgeable, and a great advocate for the program. Wonderful. In Rock County, very good program in person. Tina Monkgerber was helpful and informative. Mary Severson, Dane County, was incredibly helpful throughout the application process, proactively notifying me of steps needed to apply for my parents' grants, and also connected me with in-home care business that had the capacity to help out my parents. Rock, very good program and person. Tina Monkgerber was very helpful and informative. Dane County, the response from Mary Severson was outstanding. Mary is personable, knowledgeable, and a tremendous help. From Grant County, we are thankful for Nicole Baumeister. Sorry if I didn't pronounce that correctly, and Dustin Bierman. Tina Monk Gerber was wonderful, very caring and compassionate, listened to learn about the client and their needs, very knowledgeable and helpful, and a godsend, and God sent an angel to help us through this difficult time. Ruth in Racine County was helpful, amazing, and a great resource. She worked to get my mom the help she needed. She was such a strong advocate for my mother. She went above and beyond her job description for sure. We are so grateful for everything. Ruth in Racine was exceptional with her guidance. She was very comforting and professional at a time our family needed help. I have a business that deals a lot with elderly people, and I've highly recommended the EDRC because of Ruth. I am very grateful. It's hard. Well, that was my last one. There's a whole nother list that Lynn will tackle. Despite searching through a lot of the aging unit contacts, there were some of them we just still couldn't quite connect. But I'm asking that if you happen to know who these last few people are, that you would let them know that they made a positive difference in the life of a caregiver. There was a Tatiana named, a Nancy, a Chloe, a Trisha Matador, Tiffany and Barb, Jennifer Harders, and Tara Lee Yang. Emily and Jenny were two other names that were listed. So certainly overwhelming and powerful, and I will turn the next comments over to Lynn.
Okay, thank you. We're into 2022, and I'm going to this theme continues, and I tried to put some of them together. Yeah, we'll see. I'll go through this. Hopefully, it'll go pretty quickly. Tina Montgerber again. She understood our family situation. This grant was a catalyst for healing, and I'm grateful for this support. In Dane County, Mary Severson was amazing. What a great person to work with! Exclamation point. In St. Croix County, Tara has been a huge blessing, and all the staff. Thank you so much. Tara did an excellent job sharing what services are available and how to get them. Great job, Tara. Marinette County Elderly Senior Center has been extremely helpful, and the staff very pleasant to work with. Every specialist I've worked with, Olivia, Cherry, and Angela School, have been thoughtful, sincere, well-informed, helpful, and prompt. Wonderful. And then a comment goes on to read that Angie School is perfect for this service. We have educated guests that this was Waukesha County, that Lisa came to our home came prepared. She had lots of information and equally lots of knowledge about our situation. In Marquette County, Colleen is very helpful and tries to fulfill all my mother's needs. Brenda is very patient, professional, and understanding of my in-laws' situation. Douglas County, we believe this is for Douglas, amazing. It was invaluable for my mom, and we've been so appreciated. Thank you. This is an awesome program. Chelsea was a wonderful manager and communicator. In Walworth, Mary Schrader was most helpful and personable. I can't tell you how helpful, courteous, and respectful both Terry and Robin were when I met them at the Brown County ADRC. At a time when my sister and I needed guidance in the area of caring for our aging mother, Terry and Robin were able to give us a better knowledge and resources out there to assist our mom. Our mom wants to remain in her home, which is wonderful. She'll be 96 years old in a week, and her mind is still excellent. However, she's physically needed some help, as well as a few household duties. We're grateful for the information and education that we received from Terry and Robin. They truly cared about the situation. Another one for Brown. Terry Bradford had so much information that related to my situation. She was so helpful and eased my fears. And I think that's a real testament for listening to what people are saying in their caregiver needs assessment, feeling like they got what they needed. Our best deduction here was from Dane and the Alzheimer's Alliance, that Jennifer was very kind and fit into our family very well. Very easy after our first meeting with her. We're so grateful to her. Against Tara in St. Croix County again. She's been a huge asset and made figuring out a care plan for my mom so easy. Somebody said, we made it easy, believe that or not. Okay. I was very pleased with my experience with the social worker in Calumet County. In Racine, we worked with Ruth. She was outstanding. She's very compassionate, professional, and thorough, and her communication was exceptional. We're so grateful to have a program like the ADRC in our community to support the needs of caretakers and families and seniors. Another one in Brown, my experience was literally life-saving. My husband has dementia. I was completely uninformed about the disease and at my wit's end with frustration, guilt, confusion, and despair. John Plagueman, Terry Bradford, and Heather Frank have given me compassion, knowledge, resources, support, and most of all, hope. They're my angels. P.S. My husband has just fallen off our front steps. AFCSP allowed us to get the stair railings, vital for his safety. In Racine, Ruth was wonderful and reached out several times to offer assistance and reminders of caregiver support dates and times ever since our initial meeting. And Taylor Reinhardt was very helpful and very respectful in talking to my dad and I. And Dane, my experience was wonderful. I worked with Jane DeBrew, and she was very knowledgeable, professional, and compassionate. She was able to let me know of the various resources available for us to navigate life with my husband's dementia. Thank you for this invaluable county support. Again, Jane from Dane from the ADRC has been very helpful to our family situation. I am forever grateful. And thanks for such a wonderful program. I can't thank you enough. It gave me a break, which in parentheses, which was much needed, while caring for my father. Jane DeBrew was wonderful to work with. She's an angel. So there's that angel again. You guys really are the spirit of the ADRCs and our aging programs, and I can't thank you enough for all you do. And I hope you keep up the good work this year and let us know any way that we can help you do that. So there, I'll send that back over to Bryn.
Sounds good. Sorry, I have a habit of not unmuting myself. So actually, before we move into Caregiver Coalition, there was just one last piece you wanted to get some feedback on. The caregiver support section that might be revised within the Wisconsin Aging Programs Policy Manual.
Yes. I wanted to let you know, you probably know that we've been taking that big policy manual that we have and we've been putting it on the DHS SharePoint site. And right now I have been working on, and hopefully I just did my last version of it, what used to be chapter 11, the caregiver support section in the policy manual. It's going to be on SharePoint and it's rearranged very much like the ADRC manual, which is now on SharePoint. So if you're familiar with that, it might look familiar. But basically, we're revising it and taking it and putting it in a different format. And so I took what used to be called Chapter 11 and putting it into this new format. And what we're going to be doing is putting it up online and asking for you to look at it and to give us some feedback as we're doing it. And the caregiver section is going to be the first section from the aging manual that's going up. So as soon as that's up, you'll be able to look at it, and then there'll be a survey that you can take and provide feedback on. But in order to do that, you do need DHS SharePoint access. And so I think a lot of you already have it, but if you don't, that's something we need to give you if you're interested in taking this. I think all the directors should have access. I'm sure they do, but some staff may still not have it. So if you want access to that, go to your director and ask them about how to do that, or I can give you some information on how to do that too. It'll probably be another week or two before the survey is up to take, but I want to make sure that you at least get signed up and get access out of the way. So when it's time to take that survey, you will have full access. And it's good to have SharePoint access anyway, just because there's so much information on there for every program related to aging and the ADRCs. So that's something we want to get for everyone. And please be honest with us about the feedback. It is going to be in a different format. And I admit it was odd for me to take chapter 11 and put it into this new format because it reads differently. And we're used to a certain thing after many years, those of us who have been around for a long time. So please, I hope you'll take some time to look through it and give us your feedback on it when the time comes. So thank you.
That was a lot that we just went through. Are there any questions related to that regarding SharePoint or the manual or anything else before we move on? Okay. Well, with that, the rest of the time we're going to devote to caregiver coalitions. I'll just briefly share the purpose of a caregiver coalition. This was the definition and the information that was written at the top of the caregiver coalition poll. And I think we had a good representation. About 80% or so did complete the poll. The idea was to kind of get a pulse for what folks in different counties were experiencing. So again, the Caregiver Coalition is to ensure there's a coordination of caregiver services in each county, and that the aging unit shall convene or be a member of a local family caregiver coalition or coordinating committee with other local providers who currently provide support services to family caregivers. The aging unit shall coordinate these activities under the program with other community agencies and voluntary and voluntary organizations providing service to caregivers. Funding under this program allows aging units to advocate with other provider agencies about expanding and enhancing existing services to better meet the needs of family caregivers. It's a mouthful. In short, the idea is that you have professionals and family caregivers at the table at a local level, identifying priorities that not only support the work you do, but that you're partnering with the people to meet the needs of those family caregivers. It could be transportation providers at the table, assisted living. It certainly could be kinship and DCS caregiver coordinators. Any number of those folks who are also in the form of supporting family caregivers are those connection and those ties we want to see continue. I have a lot of data about the polls that, about the one poll that was completed from those who responded. Most of them did report that they have active caregiver coalitions. That was at about 80% who responded, did say that they had active caregiver coalitions. And there were some that obviously did not, just shy of 20% or so. So the trends that I noticed when I was pulling through what was submitted are that there's kind of a sweet spot between 6 to 11 participants. It felt like if you had too few, folks didn't show up, and then very quickly there was the opportunity for the coalition to dissolve. And too many, I think, potentially left competing priorities or maybe not the focus of the family caregiver. The good news was that the almost everybody who responded indicated that they were open to the idea of joining or combining or somehow partnering with others. The reason I feel like that's important is because if you're a county who reported not having an active caregiver coalition, or you just know that you don't have one, it seems like we have some really good colleagues within the entire state network that not only can help you and offer ideas, but might even be willing to join forces. So I'm going to give myself a break from talking, and I'm actually going to turn it over to three people who offered to speak up and share some of their insight on what their caregiver coalition looks like. In order of the agenda, we have Luann, Deputy Director from Senior Connections. Following her, Kathy Foreman, sorry, from Director of the Forest County Commission on Aging. And Shelley, I apologize, I'm not even going to try your last name, social worker at the EDRC of Southwest. So why don't we start with Luann, then we'll go to Kathy and Shelley.
Thanks, Bryn. I really appreciate this opportunity to share our experience here in Douglas County. And I appreciate these meetings because they're not only educational and networking, but really we're here to support each other. I find it's been very difficult in the last year. And so appreciate that. But with that being said, what my experience is our experiences is just that, our experience. Most things are local, so you have to know what's going to work for your county. So hopefully maybe some of these ideas or what we've done might be able to be done in your county, but sometimes not. Occasionally on these calls, I get a little envious when I hear of counties, you know, and they have this wonderful coalition and they're doing these wonderful things. And it's like, oh, I don't know, why can't we do that? And sometimes we can and sometimes we can't. You just really have to know what's going to work for you. So with that, just a brief history. When I took over the National Family Caregiver Support Program, we had a caregiver advisory board so many years ago. That transitioned into a caregiver coalition. And then about, I'd say 2016 or so, we had a dementia-friendly initiative in our community, and that just seemed to go great guns. People were interested, there was a lot of traction, and a lot of the people that were on our coalition were also part of this group. So eventually we decided to merge the group. And, you know, as groups go, we initially focused a lot on the dementia-friendly awareness in our community. That was the main focus, along with education. And then kind of that waned after a year or so. We were kind of losing some members. And so we kind of had to regroup. And what we did as a group, we came up with a mission statement, something to kind of give us focus. And our mission statement is to recognize all caregivers of older adults and empower them through support, education, advocacy, and awareness of community resources. So with that mission statement in mind, then we decided what are our initiatives going to be? What are we going to focus on? And we came up with 3, and they have stayed somewhat constant, although we have done some goal setting and looking at those every once in a while. So our 3 core initiatives are dementia friendly and community training. So up to now, we have trained about 50 businesses, communities, EMS. And again, it's about a half an hour to 45-minute training. So it's just, again, basic education in hopes that we can make a more dementia-friendly community. And people have been open to that. Now, there's been ebbs and flows. We always struggle to get the word out there that this is available. We really would like to make some headway into restaurants in our area because we think a lot of seniors and people go to restaurants, but we've done some banks, we've done our safety law enforcement community, a lot of EMS out in the county, and they've been very receptive to the training. So that's one thing that has really kind of been our core focus. We also have an annual caregiver conference, again, supporting that education piece. We have, partnered with our technical college to help us put that on and help us develop that. And even during the pandemic, we've done a Zoom, and this year will be the first kind of in-person, and we're still debating, are we going to do a hybrid? We probably will do a hybrid, but we're hoping that we can get some people to come in person. And then our 3rd major initiative is our Alzheimer's Walk. So we kind of give the support behind our Alzheimer's Walk. Again, bringing awareness to the issue and really support that group. Our core group right now is kind of made up of our ADRC. We have our managed care organization. We have representation from our medical community, hospice, our technical college and university, our independent living center, and the Alzheimer's Association. We have struggled with keeping family caregivers on. That's always been kind of a struggle. But all these individuals generally have contact with family caregivers. So we have done like surveys to try to keep that fresh, that we're seeing what do family caregivers need, what are they seeing. And then, like I said before, we did a what was called a SWOT analysis, looking at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And that kind of revived us a little bit. What is our mission? What are we trying to do? Are we able to do that? And, once you kind of see it on paper, it's a little easier to go forward and say, yeah, we have accomplished some things, but what do we need to, keep going and go on? We do occasionally do additional things. In November for Caregivers Month, we did a coalition open house at our library, which we weren't sure how it was going to go over, but we felt it was pretty successful. We had about 50 individuals. It was kind of mid-afternoon, early evening, hopefully to catch some of those working caregivers. And so we're thinking of maybe going on the road with that. We also have some rural areas and maybe bringing that open house type to let people know what we're about, who's involved, what resources are out there. So I guess, like I said, it hasn't been always easy. We've had ups and downs, but, finding that core group of people who are committed, I think is important. And then really defining what will work in your community, what is needed in your community. And then also just, looking at what are your strengths and weaknesses and what can everybody bring to the table. I think that's what has kind of kept us going over the years. So I look forward to hear what other people are doing because that's helpful to me. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And as Luann shared, that we're supposed to be a support to one another. So feel free outside of today's meeting or as follow-up to please share ideas statewide and feel free to be a support to one another. With that, Kathy, would you like to share your experience?
Well, hello, everybody. So I'm from Forest County. I'm the director of Office on Aging. I have several different roles, but I just started the position in early September. So when I started as the director, I was told that I was basically in charge of the coalition. And so at one of the meetings, my first meeting, I went to the coalition and I asked them, so what is our purpose? What are our goals? What are our objectives? And surprisingly, nobody really knew what our goals or objectives were. They said they were basically just showing up for a meeting. They didn't really talk about much. They were unsure as to what their purpose was. So then we decided to revamp, restart, refresh, and we had several new people there that came to the meetings, but were unsure of what the purpose was as well. So we figured as long as we were pretty much all brand new, we should start this out in the good direction. And we developed our own goals. We had developed our own objectives. Our own purpose. We developed really nice flyers, pamphlets specifically for our coalition with all of our new goals and initiatives and everything else. And then we also decided we needed, because we are very, very rural, most of our people who are in our coalition is from, within 50, 60 miles away. So we still do offer the hybrid option of meeting. But we also decided, because we were rural, we needed to have some caregiver support group. So we did establish that. We put out flyers all over the county. Our first one is scheduled for, third Tuesday. It starts out actually next week. It's going to be at the Crandon Library. So we're going to be doing that for an hour, trying to help bring that in a little bit more rapidly. In addition, we decided we needed to do something to get our names out there. So we are having Marty Schreiber come on the 15th of February to one of our local restaurants. And he will be doing his presentation and talking about his book on My Two Elaines. So as of right now, we have a pretty good turnout. They're RSVPing. We have about 30 people right now. So hopefully that turns out real good. We're going to offer them free soup and salad bar. And then we also recruited 2 or 3 caregivers in our group, and they have showed up. Now I have at least 2 that did come to 2 meetings already, and they seem to be pretty excited about that. So I guess we are just in our county, we are just all learning as a group. We're all pretty new, and we're all trying to figure out how we can support Forest County. And I think we're doing pretty good. We got a lot of good members. We have the ADRC very, very active helping us. We have hospice as well. We have, our clients itself. We have family care organizations that are showing up and listening and adding their input. And I think we've come quite a ways in a short few months. So I'm very excited about where we're going to head, and hopefully we can have a good impact on our county. But that's about all I have to say. I guess just if you're struggling, just stick with it. Maybe revamp, do a little bit of changing around, and it seems to generate quite a bit of interest once you start doing that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Instead of being discouraged, maybe is the right word, by people's lack of knowledge in the mission or the purpose for getting together. You took that and just level set so that everybody had an opportunity to participate in developing what the next steps were and finding something that each of them took an interest in. So I think regardless of whether or not you're a coalition who's been in existence for several years or brand new to kind of kickstarting this, there's certainly pros to each of those situations. Shelley, do you want to share any information about your caregiver coalition and some positives or ideas that folks might benefit from?
Sure. And I will tell you, our coalition was much more active before COVID. We had the Marty Schreiber event, which I think it's great that you're doing that. He's an awesome speaker. We had an advance. We made sure that we had events that we focused on too, because that gave everyone that purpose too of staying involved. And so we listened to what people wanted too. So again, it was that Marty Schreiber. We did an advance directive event where they came and then they left with a completed power of attorney for healthcare. So we only focused on healthcare. We also did the dementia friendly when our dementia care specialist was started. So then we would partner with them and, focus that. And then during COVID, we also did like isolation packets for people. We were trying to listen. And so we would send activities to people. We are kind of struggling now again, because we're trying to start meeting in person again, because I have found that if you meet in person, there seems to be more participation, and I think that just more involvement. And so we're doing another advanced directive event again, coming up in April. But I think, giving people the purpose. The other thing that we found, food. If we offer food, they come. So, so that is something that we're doing as well. But really, then I should say too, our caregiver coalition kind of morphed or merged into what's called the HEART coalition, which our nurses, our health department, I should say, were awarded a grant called Healthy Aging in Rural Towns. And the focus of that grant was caregiving. Like, how can we support the caregivers? And so we've morphed into the HEART coalition. And so we're starting to kickstart again, like, because we have just lost, I shouldn't say lost, but it's just getting that momentum again of, getting refocused, getting that purpose again. And so that's where we're at. That was kind of in a quick nutshell.
Thank you. That was perfect. From each of you, I couldn't have, this was totally at random as we were talking about caregiver coalitions via emails and other different meetings. I just happened to ask these three individuals if they wouldn't mind sharing, and all three of you are at very different stages in caregiver coalition. So I appreciate your honesty, that it's not easy, it's not perfect. There's ebbs and flows to that. So certainly thank you. I will read what Terry wrote in the chat, and then I'm going to leave it open for discussion or Q&A time in the last few minutes that we have. Terry writes, to Gail's point about using coalitions to keep support groups going, we encourage all of the powerful tools for caregiver classes to continue the support they found in the class with our MUG Club support group. We also encourage those in the MUG Club who haven't taken powerful tools for caregivers to do so, based on how often it's referenced in our conversations. The two programs feed each other. I like that. Michelle asked, would Shelley be willing to be a contact about the POA event and working on setting up one in our county, and would appreciate her ideas, feedback, and how they ran it?
Yes.
I think it's fair to say we are all, and certainly you more so, are at capacity. There's been a number of new folks starting learning roles. There's been a number of retirements. We hear the word turnover, turnover, turnover. I've never done so many trainings in such a short amount of time. it is 100% okay to not reinvent the wheel. And the more you guys can share and offer that support to one another, I encourage you to do so. Oh, there you go. You got Shelly's email right in the chat. Any other thoughts or feedback related to caregiver coalitions?
This is Lynn. I just wanted to jump in too, because right in the beginning, you heard about I think with caregiver coalitions, having a reason to come together. Why are you coming together? That is just key to any coalition. And it sounds like that point was already made, but I just really want to say, just coming together and saying, oh, share, we do this, we do that, we do the other thing. That's not enough. Your coalition really needs to have a purpose for people to dedicate their time and their energy and to have something to get excited about to come to. So if your coalition, if you're feeling like you don't know what your purpose is, that's a really good place to start, is to have a conversation with everybody in your coalition about that. What can we achieve together? What can we do? And what can we really, you know, what can we accomplish together? Because otherwise people aren't going to put their time and energy into it. So that really is key. Thank you for pointing that out.
Don't see anything more in the chat. I don't see any hands raised. Alyssa writes, this information was great. Our coalition is in need of major refresh. Thank you all for sharing. And the other thing too is the reason I am Lynn, specifically put in that poll was who would be willing to combine and join. I know that there are DCSs who have their dementia care coalitions, and then we also have those same professionals potentially being pulled into the world of caregiver coalitions. There isn't a need to have numerous amounts of meeting hours for all of those players if there's an opportunity to come together in that mission. And so long as all caregivers have the opportunity to benefit, and it's not just caregivers of those with dementia, there is not any reason where I could see where joining forces doesn't make sense, or even I don't know, Dodge and Fond du Lac County share a border, different counties that share those border lines. If there's times where you want to share some of that workload, maybe you do the agenda and the activities for the first 6 months, and then your partner whom you join forces with for the next 6 months can take the lead on that. There's all sorts of good solutions and options out there. I'm just reading through the chat real quick. It looks like you guys are sharing information. You're getting connected. This is super helpful, informative. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah. I don't think I have anything else to add. We're 2 minutes to the hour, so maybe we will just adjourn a couple minutes early, and you guys can have a wonderful Tuesday. I'll keep it open for just a little bit, so if there's any more chats or email exchanges, you guys can do that. Thank you guys, and have a wonderful day.